Alright, today's lesson is on simple interest. And to solve our simple interest problems, we're going to use a formula. It is interest, which is what our I stands for. And interest is an amount of money you make off of a certain amount of money. So we're going to always have it in our dollar form. Okay. Alright. Your principal, and that's going to equal your principal times your rate times your time. Your principal is the amount of money you would invest or deposit into an account. It's the original amount. Okay, let's say original amount, and that is also written in dollar form. Okay. Our rate, this is the interest rate, or how much the rate of money you will make. It is written usually as a decimal when it comes to when we put it in the equation and multiply. And then our time, we always think of our time in years for simple interest. Okay, so it's usually going to be a whole number or go along with a certain number of months. There's one problem at the end here where the years are going to be a little off. Or it's going to have some decimals, so we'll talk about that. Okay. But let's go ahead and practice using our formula here. So our first example here, notice how they give us each piece of information. So they don't tell me what the interest is, so I'm going to put my I for interest. And that is going to equal my principal, which is $225, times my rate, which is 3%. And if I write that in decimal form, it's 0.03. And then times my years, which is times 2. Go ahead and plug that in the calculator, and I find that I get an interest of $13.50. So if I kept that $225 in an account for 2 years at that rate, I would earn $13.50. Alright, number 2, they've given us the interest, but they have not given us the principal. So I'm going to use the same formula. I'm going to go ahead and plug in my interest, which is $440. And that is going to equal the principal, which I don't know, times the rate, which is 5%, so it's 0.05, and then times the time, which is 5 years, so times 5. Alright, I should go ahead and calculate this out, and 0.05 times 5 is 0.25. Divide by 0.25, just a one-step equation now. And my principal is 1,760. Oops. There we go. Okay. Alright, let's try number 3 here. Now we don't know what the rate is, but I do know what the interest is, so 300 is going to equal my principal times my rate times my time, which is 5 years, so times 5. 300, and that's 5,000 R, because I did 5 times 1,000. Divide by 5,000, and I get my rate is 0.6. I'm going to go ahead and change that into a percentage, so it turns out to be, 0.06 is what it should be. So it turns out to be 6% is my answer. Alright, and number 4, this time I'm missing the amount of time. Still the same formula. It's going to be interest is equal to principal times the rate, and 11% is 0.1 times my time. Go ahead and do 700 times 0.11, and I get 77, so 77t, 231. Divide by 77 on both sides, and I get an answer of t is equal to 3, which means 3 years. Alright, so you have some to try yourself. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, and then 4 with just the numbers. Go ahead and make sure you plug them into the equation from the beginning. And then you have a small word problem there, number 5. Your answer in years is going to be a little different. It's going to have a little bit of a decimal to it. So try it and see if you get the same answer that I come up with. should have gotten $240 for the interest. Number 2 should have been 6%. Number 3 should have been a principal of $2,000. Number 4 should have been a amount of time of 4 years. And then number 5, you should have gotten an interest of $2,000 because it takes $2,000 to get you to $8,000. That's the total amount. Principal $6,000. The rate is 5.5%, which is actually 0.055 when it turned to a decimal, and you don't know the amount of time. When you solve this out, you get an answer of 6.060606. So an acceptable answer here would be, we'd say just over 6 years would be an acceptable answer.